A.A.G. News. Fact news you can trust.
The Boulder mass murder. There is the accused shooter. Ahmed al-Alawi Alissa, 21 years old. He came here as a Syrian refugee. He arrived during President Obama's asylum program. Here are the victims, 10 people, ages 20 through 65. Do you think that President Biden will be going to Boulder to honor those lost? I hope he does, but the politics suggest that he will not, and the optics of this entire situation. For a review, here's this.
A shooting rampage at this Colorado grocery store, leaving multiple people dead, including a Boulder police officer. Thousands watching this live stream by ZFG videography as the events were unfolding.
There's a shooter, active shooter, get away!
The call coming in around 2:30 p.m.
136, hold all radio traffic, everybody just go.
Law enforcement rushing to the parking lot of the King Soopers grocery store. At just about 3:30 p.m., police with long guns escorting this man, shirtless, with blood running down his leg, leading him to a stretcher. He appears to be in handcuffs.
So, he's a Trump hater, by the way, reportedly, and let's go through some of his posts, the alleged shooter here. On Facebook, he says, Trump, such a DIC, you know the word. Next, the Muslims at the Christchurch Mosque, I believe that was in New Zealand, were not the victims of a single shooter. They were the victims of the entire Islamophobia industry that vilified them. Next, he inherited a growing economy and the unemployment rate was low. The economy was an upward spiral. He won, Donald Trump, because of racism. Also, looking at his internet postings, we know that he's a fan of the Washington Post. Now, here's how one leading liberal saw the events in her mind. This is what she wrote before she knew the identity of the assailant. The shooter was taken into custody. In other words, it was almost certainly a white man. Again, if he were black or brown, he would be dead. Now, when they updated her, when she was informed, she wrote this. Let's mourn the victims, but not glorify the killer with the intention of having his name widely known. And then there's this from Mina Harris. Recognize the woman next to her on the left? That is the Vice President of the United States. She is the niece of Vice President Harris. The Atlanta shooting was not even a week ago. Violent white men are the greatest terrorist threat to our country. Now, when she learns the truth, she updates it with this. Arguably even worse. I deleted a previous tweet about the suspect in the Boulder shooting. I made an assumption based on his being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men. Now, a quick review by anybody, you'll see that all kinds of people are responsible for horrific domestic terror attacks in this country, including plenty of people of color. But the mainstream media and their Democratic allies, they were all focused on the white skin of last week's Atlanta shooter, weren't they?
Here's the suspect, okay? He's a 21-year-old white man.
This 21-year-old white male mass murderer.
The suspect arrested 150 miles away after a chase is a white man.
The suspect in custody is white. This has not been labeled a hate crime. But on one level, the motive doesn't matter because, regardless, it generated fear in the Asian American community.
How about it generated fear in the community? Now, they're speaking in very stark racial terms. Watch all of those shows tonight if you want to. I don't suggest that you do. But will they be with contempt in their voice talking about Ahmed al-Alawi Alissa as an Islamic man originally from Syria? Will they say it with that kind of contempt? I don't think they will. Let's take a look at the victims again. They all happen to be, yes, I believe they're all Caucasian. Will they be highlighting that fact? Last week, I kept on hearing that 6 of the victims were Asian. Actually, for a while, it seemed like all of the victims were Asian. That's not true. And again, the shooter is, well, he appears to be of Middle Eastern origin, and we know that to be the fact. You notice how it's all about race? They had such contempt last week. I think it's about to evaporate. I already see signs of it evaporating. They don't care as much because the assailant is a person of color. Now, on January 6th, one person was killed on January 6th, a Trump supporter, and I heard such contempt in the media's voice, and still, because these protesters were, for the most part, Caucasians. Did you notice that? I certainly did. There seems to be a lot of persecution, quite frankly, verbal sometimes, but for white people, and I don't understand it. What about having compassion for people, for human beings? And with that in mind, I have a lot of compassion for those at the border who were drawn to America to come here illegally by Joe Biden. It's clear. They've asked them. They're all saying it. We came here because Joe Biden would let us in. And you've seen the horrendous footage. You've seen those kids in cages. This is happening now on Joe Biden's watch. There's no doubt that this is happening in his America. Now, the pictures that you saw during the Trump administration, well, by the way, they came from the Obama administration. You've seen it. They've been inspired, more or less told to come by Joe Biden. He said, you should surge to the border when I'm president. He said that in 2019 when he was running. You know who said this would all happen? And, you know, he's not gloating. His heart is broken. We had him on the show last night. President Trump, he predicted this would happen.
Joe Biden has pledged to open borders, mass amnesty, nationwide catch and release. You know what that is? That's when you catch a criminal, murderer, rapist, you let the criminal go.
What are we seeing? So much of that is already true. So much, huh? All right, we all know there is a full-blown crisis on the border. Although I heard Candace Owens say something interesting. She said that it's not a crisis, it's actually a plan. This is what the far left wanted. Globalists, they want free labor. Democrats, they want new voters. Maybe that's why Vice President Harris doesn't seem to have a care in the world when they asked her, hey, when are you going to the border?
Do you have plans to visit the border?
Not today.
Not funny. She really thinks she's fabulous, doesn't she? Look, they don't need her in Florida, but that's where she went. And take a look at this. How's this for hubris, all right? Her tweet when she arrives, getting off a great big jet, Air Force Two. Hey, Florida, help is here. And all it is a picture of her. Okay, what is she going to do for Florida, by the way, huh? Again, she is so into herself with these jets and coming and going. Did you see that? It happened during the campaign, and now it's happening that she's actually president. It really is something else. All right, this time I'd like to thank Donald Trump and point out, again, he was right.
You are fake news.
You saw that he predicted everything about the border. It's all coming. It's all happening. He was on the show last night, and we want to thank him for being so generous with his time. He's been on Newsmax many, many times. So accessible and so real.
Bernie Sanders on steroids wouldn't be signing what this guy is signing. You think it's bad now? Wait till you see what happens in the months to come. Wait till you see what's going to happen during the summer. You'll have numbers like you've never seen before. To watch this guy get up and say, oh, yeah, it was Trump's fault. They like to blame everything on Trump. I do press releases, and frankly, they're more elegant than tweeting, as the expression goes. They're really much more elegant, and the word is getting out, and you're doing a great job. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Thank you,
so
sir.
long.
Very much.